Okay, all right. Good evening, everyone. So tonight, there'll be time for any general pre-Pesach question that you could ask any year. But if you don't know, I'm sure most people know this year is a very unique year because Erev Pesach is Shabbos, and that kind of throws everything off the regular schedule. The last time this happened is 2008, so it's been quite a while, and we might not all remember exactly what happened. It could be we were with family. Now we're making our own, Pesach sedarim. So that we'll definitely spend the first good chunk of the time going over everything related to that. Before we begin with the sort of technical parts, I'll just say that, on the one hand, there's certainly complications because Erev Pesach is Shabbos, but there are also many, many advantages. I mean, this all with all seriousness, it means that everyone should be able to rest and take a nap before the first seder. So we won't be exhausted, hopefully, going to the first seder. And also we'll be entering the first seder coming out of Shabbos. So hopefully that Shabbos will be a wonderful opportunity to prepare. We'll have time to be reading something that Shabbos, learning, getting sort of into the right mindset. And we'll be able to enter the seder already in a kadosh state of mind. So we'll deal with all of the complications, but hopefully we'll use those advantages this year to make the sedarim even better. In the email that had this Zoom link this morning, so it had the special guide for Erev Pesach, for Shabbos Erev Pesach. All of the other regular documents that we always send out will go out first thing next week with the complete Pesach schedule and everything for Pesach. But we did send out this morning the special guide for this year. So at first I was just planning on basically going through the guide, but with opportunities for everyone to ask questions at any point. So I hope that sounds like a good plan, and we'll do that. And then again, whatever time after that for any other questions. Okay, so this year, Erev Pesach is Shabbos. So normally we're doing a lot of things on Erev Pesach. Firstborns are potentially fasting, but probably hearing a siyum. We're burning chametz. We're declaring all of our chametz ownerless. Your agent, the rabbi, whoever it is selling chametz. So all of those things can't take place this year. So all of those things have to be moved earlier, even though Erev Pesach remains on Shabbos. So how do we sort of bridge that gap? So just going in order, if you want to follow along in the guide that we emailed out, or if not, you can just listen. So first, if you are a firstborn, the fast will be on Thursday, the scheduled fast. There will be siyumim after the 1, possibly 2 Shachos Minyanim at Young Israel. And again, the schedule will come out. There'll be a Zoom link if you can't make it to shul. And we may possibly have, if there's only one early minyan, maybe have a later siyum if the early minyan will be too difficult. So in terms of the times, that will come out later. But if you are Bechor, you should try to hear a siyum and participate in a siyum on Thursday. Okay, unless there's a question about the first fast of the firstborns, we'll move on to the next point. Okay, really stop me at any point. You can unmute and ask a question. Bedikas chametz, searching of the chametz will take place Thursday night. So that means by Thursday night, our houses should be, basically ready for Pesach. We will still have some amount of chametz left that we will want to eat on Friday and possibly even on Shabbos. But all of that will be, stored in a certain area, but the rest of the house is already cleaned. And like any other year, if your custom is like most people, you'll put out pieces of bread and you'll do bedikas chametz. You will say a bracha as you would in a normal year, al bir chametz, and also the first paragraph of the Kol Chamira that is normally recited with the searching as is printed in a siddur. So all of that is pretty much what we would normally do. We're just doing it a day early. Normally we would do it on Friday night, the night before the Sedarim, and this year we do it 2 nights before. So what have you done? You've checked your house, you have your little bag of pieces of chametz, and you have other chametz again that you are going to want to continue eating possibly. Now we are going to be able to continue to eat chametz throughout the entire day Friday and into Shabbos morning, 10:45 a.m. So nevertheless, there is a custom that since we normally have some an act of burning or destroying some amount of chametz, so we want to do that this year as well, to continue that custom. And so there is a custom to burn or destroy a small amount of chametz Friday morning as we would on Erev Pesach. Now this year doesn't really make sense because we're going to continue eating chametz for possibly another 24 hours. But still, nevertheless, to fulfill the mitzvah of destroying some amount of chametz, we would normally do that on Friday morning. Now this year, because of COVID, it might not be possible to burn chametz for people for various reasons. If you want to destroy some amount of chametz by crumbling it up and throwing it in the air or flushing it down a toilet or a bathroom sink, you can do that, but it's not absolutely necessary. So if it's too difficult for you to destroy any chametz, just like last year, we advised people it's not necessary. It's not necessary this year either. But if you can,
did you say crumble the chametz and throw it up in the air?
Not outside, not in your house.
It becomes like like the dust of the earth, literally, right? I mean,
yeah.
So exactly. Does the wind have to kind of catch it to make it go away? I never heard of anyone doing that.
Yeah, that's an opinion in the Mishnah. Rabbi Yehuda says it must be burned. The Chum say you can
throw it up, it becomes dust, literally dust of the earth, basically.
Yes,
but it has to be so small that it's like just tiny little. It's not like the bird's gonna pick it in his claw, right?
Exactly. So, and if you do want to do that, you would do it Friday morning before 11:47 a.m.
Basically, everything that you're not going to intend to eat the rest of Friday or for Shabbos.
Or you do not want included in the sale, but yes, correct. All right. Now, normally on Erev Pesach in the morning, when we go and burn chametz, we recite a second kol chamira, which is slightly different, which now says, that's it. Now everything is batal. Everything is like the dust of the earth. I've totally gotten rid of my chametz. But we can't say that this year Friday morning because most of us will still have chametz around. So nothing would be recited if you would want to destroy some chametz Friday morning. Okay, now we're getting to the important. Ellen said that there was an email about chametz burning at the Brighton fire station, meaning that it will take place. Is that okay? So if you'd like to do that, that is available, and I'm sure it will be done in a responsible way.
And Rabbi, I'm sure you're going to cover the obligation. There is one to eat chametz.
Yes, for one thing slowly.
Right? Yeah. But if you decide you don't want to eat any chametz after,
I will get to it. All right. Yeah. Thank you, Philly. Okay, so now the more important and slightly more complicated issues. So most of us, maybe all of us, will be selling chametz. We may have significant amounts of chametz that we don't want to, we don't want to destroy, we don't want to give away, or even if we don't have significant amounts of chametz, but just to make sure we didn't miss anything, we will sell our chametz to make sure there isn't any chametz that we missed that we will own on Pesach. So a little bit of background around the sale. Normally, on a normal year, we meet with a non-Jewish person, Erev Pesach, the morning before Pesach, soon before the last time where it's permitted to own chametz, and we say, okay, I represent all of these people. I'd like to sell you this chametz. He gives me a few dollars. We shake hands. We sign something. We do all of these things, and that's it. And the sale takes place right there at that moment. Now, this year, we can't do it as simply because we can't meet on Shabbos, and we can't obviously perform a sale on Shabbos. So there are different opinions how best to accomplish the sale this year. And there are halachic pros and cons each way. But the way that we will be selling our chametz, and I believe all of the chametz in Boston, at least all of the rabbis that I've spoken to, will be doing the following way. We will meet with the non-Jewish person on Friday morning, and we will say we're representing all these people and we're selling their chametz, and we'd like to sell you their chametz. And the same thing again. He will give us some money, we'll shake hands, we'll sign something, and he will buy the chametz. Now, the problem is, at that moment, we don't want him to buy all of our chametz, because many of us will want to continue eating chametz throughout Friday night, and Shabbos morning. So we have to exclude some chametz from the sale. So on the form that you will receive early next week, it will look very similar to the form that you receive every year from the Engel's Brookline, but there will be an additional paragraph. And so the top paragraph, the regular paragraph, will say, I would like to sell my chametz, the chametz which is located in these places of approximate value X. And then it will say, but I am excluding from the sale of my chametz, chametz Y, which is labeled and found also in some locations. So you'll write, in a Tupperware container on my kitchen counter, let's say, or wherever it is. And you'll have your chametz box of chametz that you want to use Friday night, Shabbos. Now, what chametz should you have in there? You should not have much chametz. If you will be, and we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, but possibly you will have 3 or 4 challah rolls for Shabbos to make hamotzi Friday night and Shabbos morning. And maybe some small amount of chametz you want to eat on Friday, but they're confident that you will eat. Because the point is, you don't want to save too much chametz, because if you save too much chametz and you don't eat it, you're a little bit stuck because it was not included in the sale, and you're going to have to figure out some way to dispose of it Friday or Shabbos morning. There are ways, and we'll discuss those ways, but it's easier if you don't have a lot left over, obviously. So you should have a relatively small amount of chametz in that container if you want to leave any chametz over. And you'll put in your document, I'm selling all of my chametz, generally located in my kitchen pantry and freezer, whatever it is. However, I do want to keep, I don't want to sell the chametz in my, chametz box, which is located in place X. And the non-Jewish person is not buying that small amount of chametz that we're saving over for Friday night or Shabbos. Does anyone have any questions on the sale? Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, good.
Just as a question, is it possible to do the sale so that it only wrote retroactively, right? That it goes into effect, even though the actual transaction isn't done?
The short answer is yes. And if I understand your question, some rabbis do it that way, but that's not the way.
All right,
we're doing it. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Let's talk about Shabbos. So Shabbos, which is Erev Pesach, and if I'm going too fast, please just stop me. The challenge is as follows. You are not allowed to eat regular matzah on Erev Pesach. Any matzah that could be used at the seder, we reserve for the seder to make it special, to show it's only for the seder. So the rabbis instituted prohibition of eating sort of regular matzah, I'm calling it, whether it's machine or handmade, on Erev Pesach. The last time to eat chametz, bread included obviously, is 10:45 a.m. Okay. There is a third category called egg matzah, matzah ashira, which is matzah, but it cannot be used at the seder. And so egg matzah also may be eaten until 10:45 a.m. There are some opinions that are slightly more lenient for the egg matzah, but the generally accepted opinion is that egg matzah can also only be eaten in the morning until 10:45 a.m. So you have two choices. I think traditionally, people would use chametz and have challah rolls. And people would save challah rolls, again, have 3 or 4 challah rolls that you use for Friday night and your first Shabbos meal, which will be before 10:45 a.m. And then if there's anything left over, get rid of it, we will explain how to get rid of it. That is one option. That is, I would say, the more traditional option. To leave over a small amount of chametz for your Friday night and Shabbos morning meal. There is another option. If let's say you're nervous about leaving challah rolls out and might get chametz places and crumbs, or it's just too complicated for you, you can use egg matzah for the Friday night hamotzi and Shabbos morning hamotzi. You would use 2 egg matzahs for your lechem mishnah. You should eat a slightly larger amount of the egg matzah than if it would be regular challah. You should eat an egg's volume, not an olive's volume, without getting to the technical reasons if you're using egg matzah. But that is an option. You can use egg matzah. And if you use egg matzah, then you're going to sort of sidestep all of the complications that we will discuss. Because then you can have your house totally ready for Pesach before Shabbos and not have any chametz left over. And you'll just use egg matzah for hamotzi. So we have 2 options. We have, you can use challah rolls or any complete piece of bread, pitas, or whatever you would like, or you can use egg matzah for Shabbos. So I'm now going to walk through what you would need to do if you would want to use challah rolls. Okay, so what would you do? You have in your chametz box, let's say 4 challah rolls. Okay, so by Shabbos, your house should be totally kosher lePesach. Even if this is not halachically required, this is what all strongly advise. Your house should be totally kosher lePesach. You should have all chametz things away. You're going to have your Pesach dishes out. You've already probably cooked Pesach food for Yontiv. So everything is kosher lePesach, but you have these 2 rolls. So it's a little dangerous. So Friday night, you'll make Kiddush, regular Shabbos Kiddush. You'll wash, and then you need to say hamotzi on your 2 challah rolls. So what we would recommend is you should bring your challah rolls to the table. Maybe they're on a disposable plate or on a napkin on a regular plate if you don't want to use a disposable plate. And you should say hamotzi, and you should eat the rolls before you bring any other food to the table, which may be in kosher lePesach dishes. We want to keep them apart. And then you'll finish your challah, and then after you've made hamotzi and you've eaten a slice or 2 of challah, you should wrap up whatever bread is left over, and if it's crumbs, go sprinkle them outside or put them back in your chametz box, so to speak. And then once you're confident all the chametz is away, so then bring the other foods to the table.
Rabbi,
yes,
doesn't that create a problem with benching, that you're supposed to bench over your crumbs?
I'm not concerned. If you want to, you can bring the sealed chametz box back out to the table for benching if you want to fulfill that minhag to have some bread on the table at benching. But I'm not too concerned about that.
It's okay to put out breadcrumbs outside on Shabbos?
If again, so it shouldn't be large pieces, but if it's just crumbs, then I think then that's fine. Because then it's like nothing.
One question.
Yeah.
So the egg matzah, is that so that's not kosher for Pesach if you can't eat it beyond 10 a.m.
Very good. Yeah. So let me just finish the whole chametz one, and then I'll go through the egg matzah. Thank you, Polly. No,
Okay.
you're right. I probably didn't say that clearly enough.
Okay.
Okay. So you made hamotzi Friday night, and you ate your challah, and then you put it back away. You'll finish your Friday night meal. Shabbos morning, there will be we'll daven early so everyone can get home and have their meal before 10:45 a.m., which is the last time to have chametz. And you'll do a similar thing. You'll make kiddush, you will say hamotzi, you'll have the rolls on the table, and you should eat the rolls and then take them off the table before you bring any of your food, which is kosher LePesach, to the table. There are other ways to manage this. I'm just giving you the simplest way to avoid problems. If you want to ask me, if maybe afterwards you can email me or call me or text me. You could have other foods that are on disposable plates that you're not going to use on Pesach, meaning that you'll eat or throw out on Friday. So even if some crumbs get into it, it's not a big deal. I mean, on Friday night or Shabbos morning. But the simplest way to do it is just you have your challah course, you eat the challah, then you take it off the table, and it just doesn't mix with any food.
So
I have a question.
I'm sorry.
I have a quick question about putting out your garbage. Because, if you have town garbage, presumably what we'd really want to do is get rid of the garbage Thursday night, right?
Yes, you should.
But if your town garbage pickup is earlier in the week,
yep.
do you still count as possession for the garbage you have in your garbage can?
It's an excellent question, and it is a little bit complicated. And if there is edible chametz, now again, that's a subjective, term, but it is possible you could have something that's edible. If it's on your property, for sure is a problem, and even if not, we would advise not to. So you should really try to get rid of any chametz, real chametz we're talking about, before Pesach. That is correct. If you
pour, soap on it, then
exactly. So one solution is to make it inedible. So if you pour something that's, like some very strong cleaner that really makes it inedible,
right,
then that would solve the problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one question.
Yes.
So if the last time you can eat, or like basically when you do bdikat chametz, that's a question.
So again, the sort of the bdika that you're sort of accustomed to at night with the flashlight, so that you would actually do on Thursday night. So again, you'll have some chametz still in your chametz box or put aside, but the most of the house should be clean, and you'll put out the bread and search for the chametz Thursday night. But if that didn't answer your question, let me just add one more piece. So Shabbos morning, so you'll have eaten your challah. The last time to eat any chametz is 10:45 a.m. You'll finish your meal, and then by 11:47, that's the very last time, but you should do it probably as soon as you finish eating your meal. You have to make sure you have gotten rid of all chametz. So if you basically ate everything, your 4 challah rolls, and you just have crumbs, then what you should do is whatever crumbs you have, you should take them in your hand, either flush them down a toilet or a sink. Not a sink that you're using for Pesach, but like in a bathroom sink, or go outside and throw them in the air. And that's how you get rid of the very little chametz that you've left. And at that time, you would say the second kol chamira printed in the seder, typically said when we burn chametz Erev Pesach morning. So you'll say that Shabbos morning, after your Shabbos morning meal, after you've cleaned everything up and gotten rid of all of your chametz. I'm not sure, maybe that's also what you were asking about, Polly.
Yes.
Now, if you are using chametz and you somehow misjudge and you somehow just have a lot of chametz left, and it's too much to crumble, to throw in the air, or flush down a drain. So what you should do is you should put it in a plastic bag, and you should go outside and walk a block or two and find some public trash can, not your trash can, and throw it in the trash can. And as long as you do that before 11:47, that is fine. Linda is asking an excellent question in the text. Can you make things hefker on Shabbos? The short answer for our purposes is yes.
What if the Erev is down that Shabbos?
That would be a problem. If the Erev is down, you should make sure you don't have too much challah left over, or you'll have to be eating all of it.
Well, you could just put bleach on it or something again, right?
Yeah, okay, you could do that also. You could do that also. You could pour bleach on it and make it inedible, and then throw it in your trash can. That is correct. That would be another solution.
Right, Hellman, say you choose to eat bread at the Shabbat morning meal, and let's say you have it in a separate. You just sort of eat it separately, and then you continue your meal without. Is there any reason why you would need to finish your meal by 10:47, or could you continue your meal and then bench after 10:47?
A very good point.
45, whatever.
It's a very good point. Technically, you just have to finish your chametz, and you could continue eating after 10:45. We should try to aim to end our meal out. Just as good advice, I would suggest it. But that is correct. If you packed everything up and took it off the table, and then your meal extended after 10:45, that is fine. Correct. You still also just won't want to go too far, because too long after it, because again, you have to get rid of the chametz if you have anything left, and to take care of that by 11:47, right? So that also needs to take place by 11:47, and reciting the second Kol Chamira.
Rabbi, is there an issue with potentially contaminating one's Pesach dishes with chametz that was in one's mouth?
They advise, if you really had a challah Friday, Shabbos morning, so you should probably rinse out your mouth or brush your teeth, before 11:47, if you had real chametz.
Rabbi, what about a possibility of, say, eating the chametz rolls like on the porch? Does that count if we're eating the rest of the meal in the dining room?
It's a good question. If you want to eat in another area in the house, that for sure is fine. If you want to eat outside, it's a little bit of a complicated question because of the laws of brachos. If it's right outside the room and you can see it, like, I don't know if anyone knows my house, but from my dining room, I can see my back porch, that would be fine. But if it's not like that, it's too hard to give a general rule. If the hamotzi outside on a porch can cover the eating inside, because then it's like too much of different areas, and it can't cover it.
Yes, a question. So is it better to really not do any of this that we're just talking about and be prepared before Shabbos? Because don't you have an issue of a hachana? All of this is hachana for after Shabbos.
You're right. I mean, you're saying to use matzah, Shira use egg matzah.
Well, I'm saying that. I'm saying even making the bracha, to be mevatel the chametz on Shabbos.
The problem is we need something, because you're supposed to wash Friday night and Shabbos morning. That's sort of that's the
Yeah. So say you use egg matzah, but everything else shouldn't. I mean, don't we have that problem if we're
but maybe Eliot, if you planned before Shabbos to do that. It's not like you figured out on Shabbos that you were going to do something afterwards. You planned it before Shabbos, right? So maybe that's not a severe an issue.
Well, the short answer is it's actually a good question, Eliot, but I actually just realized that the one answer, but then I realized that there's a better answer. The reason why we are going to discuss hachana, preparing for Shabbos, for after Shabbos. The reason why it's not hachana, let's say getting rid of the crumbs, is because the prohibition to own the chametz actually already begins on Shabbos. So it's actually, you're doing it for Shabbos also, meaning Shabbos at 11:47, right? So it's for both. It's for Shabbos and after Shabbos. But you are asking the question, why shouldn't we just use egg matzah? And it definitely can make life simpler. You know, you don't have to.
Yeah, I mean,
worry about
that's,
all-
I was more interested in the whole Hasana thing, but I guess maybe it only applies to the nap you were talking about. You can't take a nap if you don't normally nap specifically to prepare to stay up for the
The
Seder.
postscript, they actually say you're not supposed to say out loud, I am now taking a nap, so I'll be up for the Seder. Yeah, that is true. That is true. That is true. Okay, so this is option one. Any other questions how you would handle this if you want to have challah? Okay, option two is egg matzah. So in option two, you can have your house already totally rid of all chametz. Now, to Polly's question, what is the status of egg matzah? So egg matzah is a dispute if one can eat egg matzah on Pesach. Sfardim hold that you can, as long as it was prepared, under 18 minutes, etc. But Ashkenazim, out of a deference to a minority opinion, so the Ashkenazi minhag is a minhag that although it is permitted to own egg matzah, but regular healthy adults are not supposed to eat egg matzah on Pesach out of deference to an opinion who holds that it is chametz. So young children, elderly people who are ill, so that's why it's printed on the box. Egg matzah only kosher for children and people who are ill. So you're right. So we don't. Regular healthy adults should not eat egg matzah on Pesach, and similarly, once chametz is forbidden, which is 10:45 a.m., you also should not eat egg matzah. Again, there are some opinions that are a little bit more lenient, but that
because everyone holds that it's permitted to own it, though.
Everyone holds it's permitted to own it.
All right,
correct,
thank you.
Correct. So then you can make hamotzi on egg matzah and Friday night, and make hamotzi on egg matzah Shabbos morning, and you don't have to be so crazy about the crumbs because you're allowed to own egg matzah. And if by mistake a few egg matzah crumbs, fall into food, and you ate egg matzah, a few crumbs by mistake, we wouldn't be so, we're not so hyper crazy about that like we are about chametz. So some people may choose to eat egg matzah and do the egg matzah, and it is definitely simpler. Traditionally, that's not what people did, but that's not necessarily a reason not to do it. There are halachic pros and cons each way, because egg matzah, some say, is actually not hamotzi. This gets into the whole mizonos role, debate. I'm not sure if people know, the airplane mizonos rolls. So the reason why they're mizonos rolls, this is a tangent. If you can ignore this if you want, is because they make it without water. They make it like egg matzah, and some say therefore it's only mizonos.
So the question is, do you wash for that, right? I mean, that's
correct. So we're telling you that you can wash first, certainly if it's part of a meal, and that's why you should eat a little bit more than, you would eat like 2 slices and eggs worth. So maybe that's why some prefer the chametz option, but either is fine. You should really decide what you think will work better for you, or what you would prefer, and either one is certainly fine.
Isn't there matzah made with like fruit juice also? I mean, not really eggs.
Yeah, egg matzah is fruit. Yes. Zev, yes. What were you gonna ask, Zev?
Is the prohibition of the egg matzah start Friday night or only in the morning?
Only in the morning. 10:47. Is that what do you mean? You shouldn't have. You can have egg matzah up until 10:47. You mean regular matzah? Matzah.
No, egg matzah. If you don't hold that you can eat egg matzah, right?
Right.
So, is the prohibition only starting in the morning? So
yeah, 10:47. It's same time as chametz. It's like
Friday
chametz.
night. So Friday night you still could eat egg matzah, but Shabbos morning you would eat rolls.
If it's after 10:47, if it's before. No, because after you can have egg matzah is the exact same as rolls. Whenever you can have rolls, you can have egg matzah. Whenever you can have egg matzah, you can have rolls. At least the way I'm presenting it. Egg matzah and rolls have the same cutoff points. It's just regular matzah is prohibited even earlier. like matzah shmura is aser from the morning. Okay, so we have these two options. You can use rolls or you can use egg matzah. Okay, any questions on this? I want to make sure we have time for general questions also. Okay, so you'll finish your meal by 10:45 or maybe a little bit later. That is your first Shabbos meal. We're supposed to have 3 meals on Shabbos, Shalosh Shudas. So Shalosh Shudas generally should be in the afternoon after halachic midday. After halachic midday, though, there's nothing that you can use for hamotzi unless you're incredibly creative, but let's assume there's nothing you can use for hamotzi. That's what it says in the Shulchan Aruch. So you should have chicken or meat or fruits or vegetables, a baked potato, whatever, the few foods that you're allowed to eat, you should try to eat something Shabbos afternoon. You shouldn't totally fill yourself up because we want to have an appetite for the seder. It's not so easy to fill yourself up anyways. There's not so many things you can eat, but you should make sure to eat something. If you eat at 10 a.m., you probably will be hungry at some point in the afternoon and eat something anyways, but that will be your Shalosh Shudas as well.
Rabbi,
Yes.
could you have, or maybe even should you have matzah balls?
If you have matzah balls, knedalach, then that is proper. That is better to eat because then you can have mizonos.
Can I ask you, Rabbi, does chatzot get affected by that we're switching the clocks?
Sure, everything gets affected.
Well, no, I mean, if you're staying up, and I don't know, like, does everyone agree when chatzot? I mean, there are different opinions with chatzot. Maybe one opinion holds, maybe, and no one holds, I guess, after 2 a.m., but, right?
We'll publish all of the
chatzot.
times,
That'd be really
Philip.
interesting.
It will be in the schedule. I don't have.
I don't know. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Is that cool?
So it
You
is
get,
about
like, 2
12:50.
chatzot.
What is it, Ari?
Sorry.
It's approximately 12:50, 12:49.
All right. Well, just
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe we
So
live
that
in
is
the wrong part of
okay. So
town.
that's Shalosh Shudas.
That's
And
a cool question.
on continuing, we're almost done with Shabbos. So as Eliot pointed out, on Shabbos, you can't do anything that is obviously preparing for after Shabbos. So you can't be arranging the Seder plate. You can't be setting the table Shabbos afternoon where you're going to be doing the Seder. And unfortunately, all of that will have to wait till after Shabbos ends, unless you have 2 places to eat. You could set up, if you have 2 areas to eat, so you could have one table, your dining room table, let's say, set up for the Seder, all perfect from before Shabbos. I mean, you did that on Friday afternoon. And if you have somewhere else to eat your Shabbos meals, you'll eat your Shabbos meals somewhere else. But other than that, there's no way to prepare on Shabbos for the Seder. You can have everything ready as much as possible before Shabbos, obviously prepared and ready to go. But then you'll have to set the table, do the finishing touches after Shabbos. When does Shabbos end? Shabbos ends at 7:48. So at 7:48, if you're at home, or if you're not at Shul or not davening Mariv, so you should say Baruch Hamavdil ben Kodesh lechol. Excuse me, Baruch Hamavdil ben Kodesh lekodesh. To distinguish between Shabbos and Yontiv, you're declaring that Shabbos is done and it is now Yontiv, and that will now allow you to prepare and do whatever you needed to get the Seder ready. And in theory, I don't know if you somehow want to cook at that point, you could even cook because it's now Yontiv. You can cook on Yontiv. It's no longer Shabbos. But before you do anything, you should say, if you're not davening Marav, Baruch Hamavdil ben Kodesh lekodesh. Women and those who will be lighting candles should light their Yontiv candles. It has to be lit from a pre-existing flame. So you should have a candle that was lit from Friday. You're going to need it for Motzei Shabbos and Sunday night. So it needs to last 48 plus hours. A 3-day candle is probably a good idea. And then Havdalah over a cup of wine will be said as part of the first cup at the Seder, using the Yaknahaz order printed in the Haggadah. And you will use most people generally use the Yontiv candles, bring them close to the table for the fire of Havdalah as part of the Yaknahaz at the very beginning of the Seder. Okay, I think I made it through. At least I'm following the guide. What did I miss? Any questions on any of this?
I'm surprised on Friday the be or has to be before a certain time when it's really not.
You're right. The Shulchan Aruch says there really is no need for it to be, but we're worried people will get confused in other years and think you can burn in the afternoon. So they just set, a set rule, just burn in the morning like you always burn in the mornings. But you're right.
Burn it late, you're not really being over anything, or
If what?
if you just happen to burn it after that time.
You still should. So it's more proper to do it before, but if you are busy, you forgot, whatever it is, we would say, so do it whenever, whenever you can do it.
Okay.
Did you mention,
Rabbi Hellman?
Rabbi, when
Yes.
is a good time to
Philip, one
finish
second,
those
I think-
shidduchs?
Monopolizing the whole conversation.
Sorry, Ezra, what were you saying? Philippe, I'll come back to you.
Yeah, just a quick question. So last year, when nobody was davening in shul yet because it was all so new, it was a week. It started on Pesach started on a weekday or a weeknight. At least in my family, and I'm sure other families as well. Everyone was home and they couldn't say Marav or start the seder anyway. At least we took advantage of the fact that we had nothing to do for 40 minutes or whatever. And we decided with our kids that we were going to do as much of the seder that they would not be able to participate in because it was going to be too late. So we did Hallel and Nirtza, for instance, first with them while we were just sitting around on the couch waiting for nighttime. My question is this year, where that would still technically be on Shabbos. It's not necessarily a preparation for Pesach, but it's almost like you're acting like it's Pesach already by doing something like that. So I'm wondering if something like that is permitted, or
if you want to do something like that with your children or sing other, Dayenu or whatever it is, that's fine. I mean, I think the adults should say Hallel again at the end of the Seder.
Sure.
But yeah.
But there's no concern with like acting like it's already Pesach?
I don't think so. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't see why it'd be a problem.
Well, in fact, isn't there a minhag to say the Haggadah the Shabbos before?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Rabbi, for Shalosh Shidduchs, basically you're not going to eat anything that would necessitate a bracha achroina of anything but a boring nefeshos, right? I mean, basically.
Yep.
Number one. Number two, at what point are you really should be done? How many hours before?
You any time in the afternoon. If you're just for these shahakol hadam ha'etz things, or even the a matzah ball, there's no.
You could eat a knet. No, you could eat a matzah ball.
Yeah.
Rabbi, are you sure? I thought that you're not allowed to eat any mizonot or wine after the 9th hour.
Mizonot also, I have to double check that. Maybe Ari's right, but
yeah, you can't have mizonot.
But
you're also not supposed to have wine unless you drink a lot of wine.
That's true. You shouldn't have wine.
What if they do a bris that day? I mean, that's complicated. They have to do it in the morning. I love these special.
Luckily, we're not dealing with that. Any other questions?
Rabbi, I wanted to ask something.
Please, yes.
I'm following a gluten-free diet. So am I allowed to eat that gluten-free matzah on Friday night and Shabbos day?
The oat matzah.
No, it's just Yehuda. I don't know. It just says gluten-free.
I think that's oat matzah, but maybe I'm wrong. No, something else. That's what you use at the Seder, right?
No, you can't use it at the Seder, and you can't wash on it. But usually it's shahakol.
Well, so I'm not familiar with it. I know oat matzah. What is this made out of?
I'm gonna go get the box.
Flour and
rice flour.
tapioca starch.
Tapioca.
Yeah, sure, that's fine.
Potato starch.
Yeah, it's not really
It's not
matzah.
a motzi.
Yeah, it's not a motzi. It's not matzah. We had it at the programs that we do. It's yeah.
No, but I just feel like if you could eat the egg matzah, which also is not really for motzi.
Correct. Yeah, you can. Yeah, so you could eat that. You could eat that all day. If I understand what it is. There's no if it's like shahakol, then you could eat it.
Right.
You could
basically
eat it all day.
potato starch, tapioca.
Right.
Yeah,
Stuff like that.
There's no limitation on that. No limitation on that.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, Friday morning, is it necessary to have all of your chametz that you're going to be that you're not going to be selling already in the one location at the exact time that you do the sale?
It really should be. It should be. So when Ari's making a good point, and then I think I probably wasn't clear enough in this. You really should have already set aside, unless you're going to buy something later, Friday, which that's also fine. But anything that isn't in your possession on Friday morning, so the sale will take place again around 10 or 11 a.m. At that point, you should have already determined what you want to sell and what you want to keep. And it should be somehow clearly labeled. If someone would come into the house, they would be able to tell.
But you could also, like you say, go out and get a sandwich Friday afternoon, right?
Correct.
I mean,
And that obviously wasn't included in the sale because you didn't even own it when I was selling your chametz. Correct.
So does that mean, are you going to try to do the sale at a very specific time so that people know exactly what time they should have everything?
I can try to announce that, it's in coordination with other people, other rabbis also, but
or maybe a 15-minute window or something where
my impression is it will be around 11 to 11:30.
Okay. Right.
Yep. Any questions on this or any general questions?
Can I follow up with you personally, Rabbi, afterwards? I have a special question. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Oh, excuse me. This is Linda, and I have a question.
Sure. Great. Hi, Linda.
Okay, so I was asking, I was surprised to hear you say that you can have knedlach, because I thought you were so that you'll be hungry for matzah at the seder. I thought, our family minhag, we don't eat matzah after Purim, but I thought, even if that's not your minhag, that the day before Pesach, you're supposed to be very careful. And my memory is unless you were a little kid, we tried to stay away.
Right. So the short answer, right. So there are two answers to your question. The first is, you're right. There are people who are strict about knedlach. So there always gonna be some people who are strict. But the reason why the majority opinion generally accepted that's fine is that it's only baked matzah. Therefore it resembles the matzah that you could be used to fill the mitzvah. But since matzah bas knedlach are boiled or cooked, you can't use that to fulfill the mitzvah. And so it's not part of the prohibition of eating on Erev Pesach.
So that if you make a potato kugel and you stick matzah meal in it, that's
correct.
Fine.
That would also be fine. If it's just a small amount, or let's say there's matzah meal and gefilte fish, let's say,
right,
things like that, where that is all fine to have Erev Pesach.
Okay.
Rabbi, if you made a cake with matzah meal, would you be allowed to eat that on Erev Pesach?
So there are different opinions. Rosh Zalman said you could, but I forget who. Many others felt it's baked and it's matzah meal, so you shouldn't. So, there are different opinions on that. Yeah. Oh boy, John Abbott asked about green beans. I don't remember. I honestly don't remember offhand. I'm not good about these things. What is considered kitnia and what is not.
No, you can't have them.
What do you say, Linda?
You can't have.
Cannot. That's okay. It's Linda Paskind, John.
No. I just remember there was a big thing when I was a little kid. My mother once served them by mistake, and it was a whole thing. Yeah.
They are kitniot.
Yeah. You're muted, John. Is he talking to us or to?
I don't know. We can't.
When Sarah and I first got married, I asked Rabbi Gewirtz, and so I was just sort of fishing for a new perspective.
You're hoping. You must really like green beans.
Just go to Ari's house.
He was more lenient. He was more lenient. He said he had a minhag to eat green beans, but you had to have a family minhag. And because we didn't have a family minhag, we didn't start eating them then. So.
Okay, I don't.
All right.
It's more than I know. Okay. Any other general questions? I was asked. I'm trying to think what questions I was asked recently. Just that might be of general interest. Does anyone have any general every year?
I have a general one, but I don't know if you want to do it offline. You can tell me. So, I looked at a lot of the sources on koshering ovens, right?
Yep.
really, this is a freestanding range, so it's the oven with the range on top of it, right?
Okay.
It's one unit, and they talk about all different materials, but I didn't see anyone talking about stainless steel. It happens to be the oven that I recently got. It has stainless steel on top, complete stainless steel. It's not coated, and I'm wondering if some kind of hagala or something would work on the top instead of having to cover it, like with some of the other materials you have to. Why would it be different than any other?
So I'm just not making sure I'm not, you're like in between the grates, there's stainless steel.
Yeah, not the grates. The grates are cast iron. I can take care of that in a self-cleaning oven, but the actual material that, the top of the oven, the pots don't sit on it, but spray from cooking, but that's all straight stainless steel.
Yeah,
I think it's not coated or anything.
I think that's fine. I mean, you'll kosher the grates by heating it up like you normally do, and you could do it on hagala. The only thing is, if a piece of hot food falls on it, then you probably shouldn't, eat that piece of food, because the concern is if hot chametz, like a piece of, I don't know what it would be, but something that was really chametz, was directly on it, then without an intermediary of a liquid, a hagala wouldn't be enough. So,
but would it be okay to not cover it?
Yes, what I'm saying. I'd be fine not covering, but you should just know if like a piece of hot fish would fall on that.
Then you just don't.
And I would just say, just don't eat that piece. Then you shouldn't eat that piece of hot fish.
Good. Thank you,
Rabbi. For the siyum for the bechor, the tanis bechoros, last year we all did it, I believe, via Zoom. Maybe not everybody, but I don't remember if there was a minion.
Yeah.
But this year it sounds like there will be a choice.
Yeah, they'll be in person or not. We're having minyan.
Is it equally valid to participate in the minyan virtually? Equally valid?
In my opinion, it's fine. For Tanis B'chor, it's a very lenient custom.
And to break the siyum like by yourself is really okay. I mean, to break the tanis by yourself.
If you participated by Zoom, Eli, were you going to ask something?
Yeah, thank you. So I think this is kind of a general question derived from something more specific. So if B'dichat chametz is Thursday night, correct?
Yeah.
So Natalie's birthday is Friday.
Yeah.
Would it be okay for us to have, let's say, cake or cupcakes outside in the backyard?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. What time is that, Eli?
I don't know if we're going to have enough for you, Eliot.
Point well made.
Any other general questions? Of course, maybe
we'll have to have.
I'm sure as people prepare, you'll have more questions, and I'm obviously just
will you do in shul Shabbos morning? Will you do any kind of kiddush? No, obviously no. All right. Sorry. Sorry.
Wish.
Oops.
Any other questions or comments?
Rabbi, it's Sharon Kramer. I have a question.
Sure.
Someone mentioned that there was something sent out about the fire station being open. Was that like?
I don't know anything about it. Someone just reported that.
On Jewish Boston, Sharon.
Yeah, I'm not on Jewish Boston. So something.
I got the email.
Those hours going to be in the Young Israel.
We'll find them out. Yeah, we'll share them. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Sure. That's a good point. There will be community koshering that the KVH is overseeing which is going to be a week from Sunday. There'll be slots so you sign up. You'll have your own slot to come. And we'll be doing that outside in the sukkah. So if you want to take advantage of that, there will be community koshering a week from Sunday. I'm trying to think of any other just information like that to share. Okay, wish any other questions or comments? Feel free to sign off if you've gotten everything you want to hear. If anyone else has any other questions, we can continue.
I have a question.
Yes, Linda.
I've mostly been in the house now for a year, but a few times when I went out, I did see certain people in maybe not our community, but some communities not masking. Is it considered acceptable to go to the firehouse if there's gonna be likely people there that are unmasked?
Yeah. You certainly should not do anything that you're not comfortable doing. I can't guarantee what's going to be going on over there. There may be people not wearing their masks over their entire mouth and nose. And if you want to go, you should go wearing a mask and just go and drop it in and leave. And if you're comfortable doing that,
You can throw them in the fire.
God forbid.
So we can talk more, just you and I, Linda, but if you're not comfortable doing it, you shouldn't do
Oh,
it.
I'm not going there.
Yeah,
But I just wondered in terms of, like the mitzvah to take care of yourself, if you should consider going there, if there are gonna be a significant number of people there that are not properly masked.
I can't answer that for every person, but you're
Okay.
certainly right that taking care of yourself has to be a consideration. I
Thank you.
agree.
That was being sarcastic, sorry.
Okay, we solved everyone's problems. We've answered all questions. Anything else? Okay, as you continue preparing, I'm sure things will come up. Feel free to reach out. Oh, sorry, is someone about to ask something? I saw someone maybe unmuting. Okay, so it's perfect timing. It's 9 o'clock, and hope everyone has a good Shabbos, and we'll all be in touch. Good seeing everyone.
Thank you.
You will.
Pleasure talk.